There's been a lot of discussion in the media, and the marketing media in particular, about marketing's use of social media. But what impact has the recession had on this?
I find it easy if you try to analyze how brands use social media to think of it in terms of the three different communication flows that can result from social media. And these three communication flows are as follows. On the one hand, you can look at the communications that take place from the brand to their customers, so what the brand says to its customers. On the other hand, the reverse, what customers tell the brand, so that's customer to the brand. But the third part, which is often ignored by many brands, is what happens between the consumers themselves as they interact, as they engage in conversations. So brands are very good at telling their customers, about new offers, and Dell, for instance, posts, special offers on Twitter and engages in that way. They're also fairly good at listening to customers, and again, Dell and some other firms that have taken the lead in social media are very good at using Twitter, again, for customer service, and in some cases even moving a lot of their customer service functions to social media. What they're not as good at is enabling and facilitating the conversations between their customers. And what I argue is that third communication flow is really the critical one, is the one where most of the value comes from for brands and for firms.
You're saying that a lot of brands aren't taking full advantage of social media and everything it offers. What's the impact going to be for them?
The impact is that they're basically missing out on the huge power of customer-to-customer communication. And let me tell you a little bit about what that is about. There are basically three sort of effects when customers communicate and engage among themselves. The first one is that they obviously are serving to amplify the message of that the brand has already put out. And most brands understand that. Things like viral marketing, obviously the more people you get talking about your brand, the better it is. So that's a pretty clear one. The second one, which is not quite as well understood but very important, is the credibility factor. The fact that when a claim is made by a customer and communicated more or less spontaneously to another customer, as long as it doesn't look like there's any sort of manipulation going on, that's very credible. Okay, and so that has a lot of power. The third effect is really the one that most people have not focused on, and it comes directly out of research in communication and cognitive psychology, is to say the more a message is repeated, the more a bit of information is repeated, and as that information is used by more and more people and then reinterpreted and recommunicated, the relevance of that piece of information increases greatly. So there's a huge amount of value that comes out of customers talking to each other, experiencing the brand, telling people how they've experienced the brand, and as they repeat those messages and those bits of information, the relevance of the brand increases. Now there's a risk there, because as you're letting your customers talk about the brand, what happens is you as the brand owner are losing control, if you will, of what the brand is about. And that's what makes brands or brand owners a little bit sort of less than comfortable with these customer-to-customer conversations. But you have to think of it in terms of a trade-off. On the one hand, you do lose control, and there is a risk to lose control. On the other hand, you are gaining a great deal of relevance, which no brand can actually purchase, that kind of relevance. It is really spontaneous relevance, and it's really what customers are going to value.
Have you got any examples of organisations who are going beyond the two-way communication with consumers and how effective it can be?
One is Lego. Lego has for a number of years facilitated in a very hands-off way online communities, and they've been absolutely excellent at reaping the value of the passion that their customers have for their products, and really allowing these conversations to go on spontaneously without trying to control them. So Lego stands out as a real great example there. Another great example is the example of Ford. Ford launched in the US last year the Ford Fiesta. The Ford Fiesta is, by US standards, a small car. So Ford had really a tough, sort of job ahead trying to launch a small car in a recessionary environment, and they were able to have a huge impact by facilitating conversations among customers, by finding people who were passionate about the brand and enabling them to spontaneously communicate with their networks. So very, very successful use of social media there. And the final example is a B2B example, Dassault Systems, which is the leader in PLM, which are systems that enable knowledge sharing among different partners in the supply chain, by creating a community of their partners up and down the supply chain, have been able to enhance the knowledge sharing, have been able to enhance the technical support that they provide their customers, and therefore to have a huge impact on performance up and down the value chain. So 3 examples that really show that when you accept sort of this loss of control that comes with sort of letting customers engage with the brand and communicating amongst themselves, you are increasing relevance in a very real way, and that increase in relevance translates into value for the firm.